Hi, this is Jason, and I've got a number of things swirling around in my head, and I thought I would make a video to just kind of think out loud and sort through some of these issues that came up for me first with the Jordan Peterson Exodus seminar, which is on Daily Wire Plus. There's snippets of it on YouTube, which you can catch, and it got me thinking also about this book. Not sure if you'll be able to read it or if it'll be backwards. The Biology of Desire by Marc Lewis, PhD. One of the best books on addiction I've ever read. But the thing that got me started thinking was in the Exodus seminar, they're talking about the Passover ritual, we might call it, and how fascinating it is that in the story of Exodus, God mandates this ritual before they actually escape from Egypt. And there are authors, people who write fiction stories, there are thinkers, there's a number of people at the table that are all discussing this with Jordan Peterson. And one of them makes the comment that typically this is not how a story works and it's not how rituals are developed. That typically there would be some kind of escape event, and then you would commemorate the escape event with some kind of ritual. That's a more typical way of telling a story. You don't tell people in chapter 1, and then the person is going, the main character is going to fight a dragon, and this is how they will kill the dragon, and then this is how they will... You may hint at things and you may have some kind of foreshadowing, but you let the story unfold through sort of emotional desire, right, of people wanting to know what happens next. Then at the end, you can encode that stuff in ritual. The Bible takes a very different approach here, and it tells the Israelites exactly what's going to happen and how they're going to overcome Pharaoh, and how they should put blood on the doorstep, and how they should make bread that is unleavened. And all of these things have symbolic meaning for an event that has not yet happened. They are still in Egypt. And it's very fascinating. And that got me thinking about the idea of ritual and addiction. Many people have pointed out the idea of triggers and a series of triggers, there being a ritual that leads up to an addiction. So a person might get out all the gear they need to inject heroin in kind of a ritualized form. Or someone might dress up for a night of drinking and gambling. Or they might listen to a certain song as they're on their way to the bar. What I'm not clear on, one of the things I'm not clear on, is whether or not addiction represents the breakdown of these rituals into just a cut and dry, cut to the chase, I'm going to use the substance. Or is it just morphing the rituals and taking those rituals in another direction? For example, I was recently spent some time with my sister, no drinking problem whatsoever, but she has a glass of wine occasionally with dinner. There's a huge ritual around this. The waiter brings out the bottle and puts it at a 45-degree angle in front of her, and that's after there's been a whole kind of discussion about what kind of wine and what are you eating, and I'll offer you 3 or 4 suggestions, and from there you'll pick some. But once all of that ritual has happened, then he comes and he brings out the bottle, holds it at a 45-degree angle. My sister reads the bottle. I'm not sure, I guess, so he's not tricking her about what, he'll open the bottle. There's a ritual involved in that. He'll pour a smidgen in the glass. My sister will smell it. She'll taste it. There was one she didn't like, and she sent back. And there were ones that she did like. But a huge amount of ritual surrounding the consumption of this alcohol. Are there just different rituals when people are caught in addiction? I mean, one of the things that kind of marks addiction is that people will drink alone. All of the social baggage and rituals are gone, and it's just cut to the chase drinking. But are there rituals associated with that drinking alone? that maybe we're unaware of. So this author of this book, The Biology of Desire, very good book, purchase it, talks about how, because of kind of the way our brains are set up and what happens when we get involved in an addiction, we start to have what's called now appeal. We're only focused on the moment, and the entire ritual of substance abuse leads up to an escape from discomfort. So he described a woman who had an eating disorder, and she would be counting calories and restricting her intake and tightly controlling everything. And she could do this for a while, and then all of that control and that ritual, it just became too much. It's a process that psychologists call ego depletion, where when you're trying by force to have willpower, it will eventually give out. And then abusing the substance actually just becomes a relief from all of that stress and tension that you had. So again, that muddies things a bit more. So is the ritual, is the abuse a way to get rid of these rituals that are controlling me and keeping me from using substances? Or are there new rituals within? I'm going to go to the store, I'm going to buy the Oreos, I'm going to dip them in peanut butter, I'm going to eat till I get sick, I'm going to put something in the oven, and now I'm waiting in anticipation for it to be done, and I'm actually eating it before it's so hot it hasn't cooled down, and I'm burning my lips, and I'm this just complete loss of control. Is that a loss of ritual, or is that just a switch to a different ritual? I don't know. I'm very curious to see what other people think when they were drinking were their rituals. I think for me, there was certainly clothing associated with drinking. There was types of music associated with drinking. There was a process of going out to the bar, of ordering the drinks, and so on. And it would eventually lead to this moment of just complete loss of control, where I didn't even know how much, after a certain number of beers, I wasn't counting the beers. They were just going down like water. So I don't know. I'm curious what other people think about what was their use ritualized, or was it the breakdown of rituals? I don't know, and I'm curious what other people think. But what this author of this book suggests is that because what's happening in addiction is this now appeal and this desire to have my discomfort taken away, and to just get a relief from the anxiety that I'm feeling or the frustration that I'm feeling, that what needs to happen is we need to shift our focus from the present to the future, which is tough to do, and focus on goals that are incompatible with substance use. So if my goal before was just to get drunk, was just I got a case of the F-its and I just want to let loose. Now my goal is I want long-term relationship with my wife and family and my siblings, and I am gonna redirect myself so that now my rituals and my goals and my reaching the goal and receiving a certain amount of reward, but then there's another goal following that, and so on. That long-term kind of planning of I want a meaningful life. I want to devote myself to service to others. I want to be God's servant. I want to get my child back, and I want to give my child a childhood that I did not have. That those long-term goals are incompatible with the reinforcing this circuit of over and over again. I feel bad, I do something immediately. I feel bad, I do something immediately. And we're actually kind of retraining the mind to focus on something long-term that makes these other rituals look unpleasant. My friend Denise talks about exercise as being sort of the anti-drug. That instead of her body, like a little bird asking, feed me, feed me, feed me, feed me, there is a person, there is an agent in her own mind that's telling the body, you will do this exercise for 30 minutes. I'm telling the body what to do. But there's still a payoff, though. At the end of the exercise, man, my stress is gone. I feel better. I feel a little bit invigorated. I'm going to sleep better tonight. My appetite is good. I feel healthy. There's some immediate benefits after the exercise that I get by me telling my body, you're going to do this thing that maybe when you got to the gym you didn't want to do. There's some immediate benefits, but there's also these long-term benefits of I see progress in myself. I see that I'm getting healthier. I'm getting more toned. I'm able to do more. So it's a shift from, feed me, feed me, feed me, feed me, feed me, to I'm telling you, body, what we're going to do right now. I'm in control. And you're going to see at the end of this process that my ideas were right. I have another friend at another rehab who's now a staff at that rehab. She talked about having boundaries with herself. I have boundaries with myself. You want to stay up until 3 o'clock in the morning doing drugs, and I'm telling you no, you are not going to do that. So I wonder if part of what needs to happen as we move away from an addiction, since we can't just, I'm going to say no, I'm going to say no, I'm going to say no, I'm going to say no. We actually have to fill in a life full of rituals and plans and activities that are incompatible with addiction. It's like when Jesus says, I can cast out that demon from your heart, but if you don't put something back in there, something positive back in your heart, that demon goes out. It picks up 7 of its buddies and it comes back and it enters this empty heart with 7 of its biggest, baddest buddies, and now you're worse off. It's not enough just to say, I stop. You have to fill it. You have to fill in those gaps with something that is so positive and so reinforcing and so desirable, because a lot of dopamine is about desire. So it is so desirable that when the feed me, feed me, feed me comes along, you're past it. I don't have to give into that. That's just a noise. That's just a toddler telling me they want to stay up until 3 o'clock in the morning, and I know if I lay that sucker down, he's going to fall asleep. If I let him cry, he's going to cry himself to sleep. If I just kind of turn the lights dim and have him sit and watch this movie with me, he's going to fall asleep. Like, I don't have to give in to that immediate demand for things. I'm beyond it. My goals and my thoughts and my desires are beyond that immediateness. So, yeah, I think there's something there. I think maybe I've kind of come to some conclusions at the end of this video. I am very curious what other people think about the idea of ritual and addiction. And I'd be very curious to see if you either had rituals when you were using, or if you've developed new rituals that keep you from using. Thanks. We'll see you again in a week or so.